Let's get down in the dirt with the Home Show Garden Pros.
Well, hello, Facebook. Got a Home Show Garden Pros Facebook Live here on this January afternoon. Hope you're doing great. You know, Home Show Garden Pros is your one-stop destination for gardening advice. It's a radio show every single Saturday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Sports Radio 610. So hopefully you can tune in there. We're always dishing out gardening advice. We have acquired, compiled, assembled a team of incredible experts from all over the city, a bunch of different beautiful destination retail garden centers. So Kingwood Garden Center, Warren Southern Gardens, Enchanted Forest, Enchanted Garden, Plants for All Seasons, Nelson Nursery and Water Gardens, and Buchanan's there in the Heights. Bunch of incredible places. Last week on the show was Joey Linderman from Enchanted Gardens, which is a great place out there just west of Cinco Ranch. And also we had Anita Nelson from Nelson Nursery and Water Gardens, right in the heart of Katy. Both phenomenal places, got a lot of great veggies, herbs, plants, and they all have their specialties, really cool thing. Our whole goal is to help you answer your gardening question, helping by dishing out great gardening advice. So that's what we do. And on the Facebook Live, we have guests, which is fun. I always get to talk to somebody new, somebody doing something pretty exciting. And this week is the wonderful Jonathan Correa. Hey, Jonathan.
Good afternoon. How are y'all doing?
Doing great. Well, I am. I don't know about the wonderful people watching us, but Jonathan is with the Harris County Master Gardeners. And why don't you tell us a little bit about what the Master Gardeners are doing these days?
Well, the Harris County Master Gardeners is a part of the AgriLife Extension that almost every county has in the country, and we work exclusively through Texas A&M University to bring relevant horticulture information to the citizens of Harris County and to Texas. We have a wonderful display garden down on the southeast side of town by Ellington Field called the Genoa Friendship Gardens, where we do our trials. We have orchards that we're building and rehabbing. We've got a big greenhouse we're working on renovating. And then we also do our sales, which are coming up this time of year. Yes. And we have our new offices, which are over off of 290, and some other gardens that we work in the county.
Oh, well, that is awesome. Yeah, and I know you guys are, whenever you do your sales, it's always a great place to get plants because you guys are only choosing plants that are good for our county, for our area, which I think is really cool. Will you tell me a little bit more about the upcoming sales?
Well, the sales this year are a little bit different than we've done in the past. We cannot do an in-person sale face-to-face because of obvious reasons. So the county said we could do it, but it all has to be done online and pickup only, totally contactless. So we've developed this whole new system. The West Side sale is this Saturday. The West Side pickup is this Saturday. And we have over 100 varieties of trees. We've sold over 613.
Oh, wow.
Citrus, apples, pears, peaches, a few dwarfs. We finally got back some dwarfs, and those sold really well. We have good handbooks that are available online to everybody. And we always picked ones that do very well here, close to the Gulf, not too cold, not too hot. We're in a very little kind of like special little zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then in February 20th, we do it on the southeast side of town. You can still order on that one still up until the end of the month. And then we flip it all around, and then we do our spring sales, which are pretty much heavy on tomatoes, peppers, daylilies, perennials, and a few other kind of items that do really well in our gardens in the city.
Gotcha.
And we will have that online also through our website. And it's pretty easy to navigate. We've talked to a lot of folks around the state, and they seem to be pretty happy with how easy it is to function and pick and the information that's provided.
Okay, awesome. So later on, we're going to show a great video on picking bold color. Jonathan, will you type the website in to the chat at that moment? Do you mind doing that? Just so we get it kind of in copy down while it's there. I want people to know about these sales and to be able to actually go support a great organization like what you guys are doing, and also get plants that are proven for our area. It's an important deal. Now, in normal years, the Master Gardeners are putting a ton of classes out, a ton of information out. Has that been difficult this year with COVID?
Getting the information hasn't been so hard with the COVID because we want to be in the yards. We want to be playing in the soil and growing and touching and doing our things. But a lot of us couldn't do it or wouldn't be able to, or the county had some very strict restrictions of how many people could be in the garden together.
Sure.
So we've been able to spend a lot of our hours, because we do a lot of minimum hours of volunteering every year, that we were able to spend it on the computer, doing relevant
Mm,
information, building on our handbook, building on our catalog, getting better descriptions, better informative and descriptive items, so that if somebody says, I want an orange that's not real big and not real sweet, but something easy to grow. Well, they can probably find that out pretty good. Or if they're looking for a new item, or a classic, tried and true tomato.
yes, right.
Um, or if they're like, when you talk about bold colors later, we have folks that are always looking for some. I want some bold, striking colors in my boring backyard.
Which is always great to get some flashes of color. Sometimes white in the shade is really, really nice. But you guys are always doing a lot of really great stuff. And I know I've learned a lot through your programs and through a lot of the content you put out. The veggie plating calendar you have on your website is wonderful and accurate and always has some cool stuff on there. We have one on our website too that we're proud of, and they match up. They don't disagree. So that's always good stuff. So we're glad to have you here, and we're gonna start answering some questions. So the way that we've collected these questions throughout the week, people on our Facebook page or on our website, homeshowgardenpros.com, have gone to this Ask a Pro button that's there and asked a question. And so we've kind of collected a few of the best, and so we're going to go through these. So here's question 1, Jonathan. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, Candace asks, she says, we finally got a patio in the backyard, and now I want to landscape around it. We'll have at least a couple of citrus trees and an herb bed, but I want some vibrant, unique flowers. Definitely planning on some salvia. What else should I consider? Ooh, good question from Candace.
That's pretty good. Depending on how large your backyard is, it could be a nice little patio, like a postage stamp you'll see inside the inner loop, or something a little bigger outside the loop, or and some neighborhoods still here. But there's plenty of things that you can have successive color throughout the season. Salvias are beautiful. I love them, but they bloom a little more at the end of summer and fall.
Right.
Some of the ones two of my favorite are the Thralis and the Hamelia. It's a
Yes.
fire bush and a very bright yellow. And I have a big, long 20-foot hedge that has both of them intermixed in it.
Oh,
And
cool.
from June until frost, it's just bursting with flames. It's yellow, it's orange, it's red. Bumblebees love it. Bees love it. Birds love it. Hummingbirds really, really love it.
Nice.
Butterflies float around, and the neighbors really go mad over it too. And it's super. Once it's established, you don't need to worry about it.
Well, that's
I like
awesome.
that for the back because it's kind of tall.
Yeah. Kind of the back of the structure, providing a little thing. There are some dwarf Hamelias, new varieties that are kind of nice. Have you? It might be a good thing. There's something a little smaller.
I sold them last year. There's one that's not quite red and orange, but a little more orange and yellow, which I kind of like that. It's a little lighter color, and that's a really nice one. It's a magnet for hummingbirds. Once they know it's there, they come back every year. A couple other ones. There's all sorts of new kind of geraniums and daylilies that really will pop a little bit of color throughout the spring. Daylilies are pretty early, but there's some that bloom a little later and bloom a little more successively. And I love daylilies. It's kind of my new thing. One of our master gardeners, Lucia, kind of turned me on to them, and they're just such beautiful, bright colors.
Yeah, big flowers.
Yeah, big flowers.
Right.
Geraniums, my grandmother always had the beautiful red ones. Growing up in New England, they were always pretty. But now they come in, red and white and pink and white and speckled and freckled and
Wow.
and some of the ones that don't even have flowers are just beautiful. There's one that is kind of maroon and green and white trimmed. They're just lovely. You mentioned your white flowers. I love white flowers in an enclosed garden because at night it really will light it up.
Right. Right. And I'm
spotlight.
I'm super glad you mentioned even ones that don't flower, because there's a lot of plants that just have a really amazing leaf. I mean, I'm thinking coleus, but a lot of plants that just have a real pop on their leaf, and then you always have it. You're always kind of dealing with that loveliness there. So, man, I had great ideas there, though. I'm going to rewatch this myself and take some notes. I didn't take notes that time, but I'm excited about your excitement about geraniums, because they're kind of one that maybe people aren't using as much as they used to, but another just big, showy flower. So that's a great one. So nice work, man. Nice work there.
And
Oh,
there's a few other bright flowers. It just kind of depends on what your taste is.
mm,
Do you like something that just kind of sits there and looks pretty, like the Hamelia and the Thralis? You really
mm,
don't need to do much with them. Daylilies, you got to kind of be up on them when they're blooming because they only hang around for a day.
right.
Um, but there's other ones. There's one that one of the master gardeners, Dana, sold me on a few years ago. It's called the pink surprise bush. Well, surprise, it's pink and it lasts all year long.
Oh,
It
wow.
started blooming last year, probably around Christmas time. Like, oh, look at you, you're gonna bloom for Christmas. Yay. I just cut it back 2 weeks ago.
Oh,
It has been
wow.
a consistent pink. And it started, a foot tall to about 3.5 feet tall when I cut it back. And it's just consistent. I didn't even have to prune it. It just kept blooming and blooming and blooming.
Well,
And
that
a
is
nice pink,
awesome.
not a real like Pepto Bismol pink, but a nice kind of soft pink with like a little
Mm.
lavender or gray to it.
Well, pink surprise bush. I think that's a great one, and I mean, really, we gave Candace a good list to go from, and that's the cool thing about plants is really there's so many settings that it's good to thin down, and she didn't give us too many direct settings there. So, but great word there. We're on to question number 2 now. Here we go. This is from Tara. Uh-oh. You always love to see this first word here. Help. So help. I have had this blueberry bush for a year in a container. Despite treating routinely with Captan, it still has a lot of rust. What is the best way to help as we get ready for spring? So it sounds like she's trying to go some blueberries, but having some problems.
Yeah, my first couple questions would be follow-up questions for Tara. Is it just one blueberry bush in
Mm.
one container, or does she have three or four? Because blueberries need buddies. They
Yeah,
do
let's hope
better
it's
when
3
there's
or
two or
4.
three. What kind of soil? Are they just using, big box soil?
Mm.
Is it a little more acidic? Because also blueberries like acidic soil. So if you have the right healthy soil, the right healthy plant, it will probably live a little better, fight disease a little better, but also your preventative maintenance. Um, are you just letting it sit there and all the leaves from last year, are they still underneath the plant?
Mm.
Kind of you got to rake those out because that's something what one of the master gardeners taught me years ago. Anything with any kind of rust or any kind of fungus on it, don't compost it. Put it in a bag, put it in a plastic bag, put it in your trash, and
Right.
away it goes.
Get it out of here.
Um,
Get that disease
I'll
out of
I'll
here.
usually put it in my fire pit and burn them first if I want to. But yeah,
Nice.
they don't get composted. They don't get left on the ground because they'll just spread the disease.
Yeah, you're just letting
Uh,
it fester there,
yeah,
basically. So,
yeah,
blueberries often do just change color in winter too. And I'm wondering if she's dealing with just like blueberries that are red because it happens to
yeah,
be wintertime.
yeah. And one of the other things she said was that despite treating routinely with Captan,
Yeah.
is she following those instructions correctly? And I'm not judging anybody, but I'm guilty of this sometimes. Where if a cup is good, 2 cups must be better. And if it says once a month, am I doing it once a month? Is it? I know blueberries love dry, mountainous, hilly areas. So we're here in the Gulf Coast. Are we making sure that they're not all cramped in?
Mm,
Are they in a corner where they don't get morning sun? Morning sun is great. It dries everything out.
mm.
If it's in a container, is she watering it every day, or is she letting the pot or the plant tell her I'm thirsty? Because when the water leaves the ground, oxygen gets in there, and that also helps dry things out and keeps fungus at bay. I guess is the best way
Right.
to describe it.
Right. And it
But
sounds like
I
you're
would
describing
go
you're
back to
describing a
just the
drainage
basics.
situation as well. Well, it sounds like, man, we really got to pay
Yeah.
attention to drainage if we're talking about a mountainous plant.
Yes, exactly. There's a lot of things that do great here, but they don't like wet feet, or they don't like sitting in swampy or not heavily composted. Pretty much everybody loves the heavy compost, but
Right.
heavy compost that doesn't drain well and doesn't bring oxygen to the roots, doesn't keep the plant dry, and helps keep the plant a little drier during the day, so it's not all steamy. It's not like the Smoky Mountains, just steam coming off it all day long, because the plant does need to dry out,
Yeah,
in the
absolutely.
daytime, so that morning moisture doesn't get to sit overnight and all day and then grow more fungus.
Although I do think blueberries are native to the Smoky Mountains, so maybe we need to get some steam
Oh yeah, they
machines
certainly are.
around our
Yep.
blueberries. Maybe that's what she's missing. Instead of Captan, she uses steam. No, but anytime you're
She's
putting out a
steaming it.
poison like that, you got to be careful doing it over and over and over, because that is just something.
Yeah,
If you
read the
have to,
instructions.
I mean, I was talking to a friend and he mentioned that, you know, is it working? You know, that was his big question. Things like these herbicides and some of the pesticides, some of the fertilizers, it's like, is it working? You know, if you're having to reapply, and like you said, that's not in the label, well, then maybe you got to move on to something else. Maybe it's simply,
It may, that cup of tea may not work for that bush. You may need to
right.
go to another fungicide or some other,
Or
maybe a
maybe it's as
systemic if you
simple
can
as your
find.
comment. You know,
Yeah.
maybe just she needs to remove the old leaves, and that's all she needs to do, and then she's good to go.
And I think that helps a lot.
Yeah.
I used to be of the oh, just set it and forget it, leave it alone. But
Hmm.
I had some things that just weren't doing real well, and I really raked all the stuff out one year, and immediately they just started picking up. They just didn't like all that clutter.
Mm,
That's for the forest. All that natural clutter is for the forest.
right.
But my yard wants decent kind of mulch and compost. It keeps it clean. It keeps it pretty, and they're a little high maintenance sometimes.
Yeah.
Those plants.
Yeah. Blueberries definitely are high maintenance, but they are delicious and good for us. So maybe that's
Hmm.
a good reason to get after them. But just reiterate one more thing that you said, Jonathan, and that's you have to have 3 or more bushes to really get that pollination going for blueberries.
Too.
One bush is not enough.
No, it never is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And we see that at the sale all the time. And we try to say you really need a buddy. Pick one from A. Pick a couple from A. 2 or 3 different high bushes or 2 or 3 different rabbit eyes.
Hmm.
They will help a lot. One of the ones that, from what I've been told, the pink lemonade blueberry
Hmm.
is a good cross pollinator for both. I
Okay.
believe it's a high bush, but does work well with others.
Okay. That's good to
Um,
know.
I haven't seen that. I have one. It doesn't make a lot of pink blueberries, but the other 4 seem to be pretty happy with it being a neighbor. So,
It's like a pink blueberry. It's a very
pink
confusing
lemonade
name.
blueberries. Believe me, I've heard it from my friends. Well, is it pink or is it blue?
Yeah, you tell me, huh? No, awesome. Well,
You're the
that's
best
great.
gardener. Yeah.
Yeah, I got one spot in my blueberry beds that needs a blueberry, so I may try to go for one of those because I think I've got a mix between those two different kind of groupings of blueberries. So that's awesome. Okay, well, hopefully that helps a lot with the help, Tara. Blueberries can be tough, and they're kind of a intermediate level plant anyway. So if we're going to encourage you, thornless
Yeah.
blackberries might be a great choice for doing a berry plant, or even something like a cherry of the Rio Grande. That's a lot easier. So we're going to move on to a question number
Those are fun.
3. Okay, so wait, did you say something, Jonathan? I want to make sure.
No, I said let's move on.
Okay, well, it looks like we're at Laura. That's weird that you say Tara, but then it's like Laura. And it's like, anyway. Okay, so Laura asks, what should everyone be planting right now besides tomatoes? Ooh, she got us there. It's like, get the tomatoes. Oh, wait. So what else should people be planting besides tomatoes?
Um, if you're a seasoned gardener, you're already looking at fall 2021. But it's still early. It's only January 20th. You can still get some good transplants for winter greens, collards, lettuce. Peas are still good. You'll still get 2 or 3 months of nice snow peas or sugar snap peas.
Mm,
But the time right now to really, go to your gardening guide would be, like on our website. We have a wonderful urban dirt. Every month we put out a new episode
mm,
of different information, but always on one of the last pages is a planting guide of what's good this month to
mm.
either do via transplant or via seeds. I know like this right now, is it turnips are still good to put in the ground by seed. Onion transplants are great. Leek
Yes.
transplants are great right now. Uh, Irish potatoes are coming up in a couple weeks.
Okay.
Got to get them in early. They're kind of like a tomato. You got to get them in early, but not too early, because if you get them in too
Right.
late, forget it. You won't get a potato.
Oh, man.
Um, and so some of the other greens are still good to put out there, especially if you get a nice local store that has good transplants. There's a few in
Right.
my neighborhood that you go once a week, and it's like, well, you didn't have them last week. Well, we didn't have them last week. We got them this week.
Yeah.
So they're always good to have in there. And of course, thinking forward, what's coming up? Yes, tomatoes are great, but then, in the next couple, probably February, right around Super Bowls, when I start my my summer vegetables, my
Mm,
cucumbers and peppers and gourds and stuff like that by seed, so that by the time I'm really getting rid of all the winter greens, I've either eaten them all or they're starting to bolt,
right.
or there's for me in my little neighborhood, the kale does great, the collards do great, but the minute I have a weekend where it's over 60 degrees, the
They're all.
caterpillars come out of everywhere
Oh
and just
wow.
destroy it all in a night. Like, where'd they
Mm.
come from? And they're covered with bugs and grossness, so they all go into the compost. Um, but yeah, that's great stuff to start working on now.
Yeah, well, that's a good list. I actually was doing some seeding earlier, and I was using quinoa. So this is botanical interest quinoa. I'm trying it for the first time. I got a couple packets of it. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. I'm doing several different types of plantings, not types of plantings, but kind of seasons of planting. So I'm doing some now. I'll do some in about 2 weeks, more in about 2 weeks,
Hmm.
and then another group. So 4 different groups over a stretch of time. We're just gonna see. I've never grown quinoa before. Well, I did at
It may
Herman
grow
Park one
great.
time.
It's and yeah, they it's one of the things I find. I may buy four of the same plant and put it in the
Right.
north corner, the east corner, the west corner, the south corner, and they all grow differently. Is it morning sun? Is it afternoon sun? Is it because it's
Yeah.
higher on the hill? Is it because the dogs run over it all the time? Uh,
Probably the dogs. They're just rascals. But the cool thing about what you're saying, and even like this planting kind of staggered planting, is that kind of experimentation. And once you get your good crops in and you're kind of harvesting stuff, it really is fun to try things, to push the envelope a little bit. Both of our websites have planting calendars on them. You can always fudge a little bit before and after just to try. It's always worth trying, and you may find something new, and you'll be sharing it with us. So just an
this year was
invitation.
my first year. I really made Christmas tomatoes.
Oh,
Um,
nice. That's
I
great.
actually got them into a pot at the right time, and
Yes,
I've got about seven of them right now that are still green, but they're just starting to turn. And I got one that's bright red and another one that's orange. So I'm waiting to have a nice
that
BLT
is
this weekend.
awesome. What kind of tomatoes are they?
I don't even remember.
Okay, yeah. Well, Laura
They
said
were just
not tomatoes.
impulse
So,
buy at the corner kind of feed store, and I was like, oh
yeah,
look, tomatoes, yay!
right. That's awesome. That is awesome. All right. Well, now on to question number 4. So here it is from Amber. Amber's got a you know a real easy question, super easy. When's the best time to start a new veggie garden? So there's always a best time, Amber. And that answer is
Last year.
last year, because then you're harvesting everything. Your soil's
Um,
mature.
I would say the best time is any time, really. As long as you want to get in the garden, that's a great time to start. I would
Right.
not recommend in Houston starting in July, unless if you want a rapid weight loss program, um, because
Of
it's
just
it's pretty
sweat.
steamy and hot. Um,
Yeah.
but every season, and this year's been a good year for a lot of folks to really incorporate gardening into their lifestyle.
Right.
But every year I'm adding some new containers, some new square foot, a new tree, a new I got some new decking. I want to put some like those rails that will hold kind of like flower pots where I
Oh
can put
yeah.
some more herbs out, where they're
Nice.
right at hip height. But you can always start today for tomorrow. Yeah,
Mm.
it's that's what's kind of laugh. It's well, the best time is last year. It's already done, but it's always growing. And you're always looking to the future of what can I grow next? What can I do today to help me tomorrow? I mentioned bolting a little while ago, but one thing I've done for a very long time is I have arugula, cilantro that I bought at the dollar store for like 99-cent packets. I have never bought arugula or cilantro since because I always
Nice.
let one plant go to bolt and I let the seeds dry. I put it in a bag and shake it and save it for next year. But
Yeah.
what can I do today for the next one?
No, that's
Oh,
awesome. I love
Justin had a
saving
good question.
seeds. When I think also, to Amber's question a little bit is you can always start pretty small. I mean, a 4x4
Hmm.
bed is almost like not taking up a ton of space. You can grow quite a bit in there. And if you have some success and you feel like you're ready to move up, add some more to it. That's kind of to what your point is.
There's
And,
all sorts of great product out there, whether it be a metal raised bed, a short, 2x4, or
absolutely.
landscape timbers, or something you buy on the web. To like you start out like a 2x2, 4x4, 4x8. then it becomes 2 4x8s, then 5 4x8s, and then your neighbors are knocking on your door going, "You have a problem with you're
Right,
growing
right.
too much stuff." I like your eggplant; they're really good.
Yeah, but I don't want any more. That's what I always get at the end of squash season. It's like, hey, thanks so much for that yellow squash, but I don't want any more. So thank
I'm
you.
good.
So we
Thank
got we got a question here in the text, which we're happy to keep doing that and get that. We want to answer any questions that you got. But so this is from Justin Fox. What's up, Justin? It's got a little backstory here. Basically, he's got some roots that came down and some trees that came down. And the roots are decomposing, and so he's having a little bit of collapsing happen. Which I've had the same thing this year. Trees I lost in Ike still have their roots decomposing. So first step, what type of soil should you level with? And then second step, anything to do to speed up that that kind of decomposition. And then lastly, what to do with the after leveled, how to make it a healthy space. So long question there, but basically, and then the last question is, what does top dressing even mean? So I'll just say what I've done is I started with compost because I wanted to speed up. I didn't start with it. I did it last year. I put compost down in the new ditches I was getting to speed it up, and it did work pretty well. And then I came back with the topsoil and leveled it. So that's what I did, and I feel like I've gotten a handle on it, and everything's pretty level. But will you address kind of what you think Justin should consider, and then also describe what top dressing is?
Certainly. Well, I think the questions they ask and what you had said is the correct approach to it. Is I don't think you can really get in there and pull those roots out unless if you want to do a lot of work.
Yeah,
Mother Nature knows what she's doing. She's been doing it for a few years now. But
couple.
adding a good compost, that will fill in those ditches and holes to kind of level it out, rake it in. Then if you have the opportunity, put some top dressing. And top dressing is some light topsoil, compost and topsoil, things that will make it level, kind of roll it out so you're not packing it in too tight,
Mm,
but so that in a heavy rain, it just won't wash away because those little root divots will become like little rivers. Um,
right.
I think the best thing that he can do is he's being on top of it, thinking about how to do it. Then, sorry, my nose is itchy all of a sudden. And
I
then
know.
would do anything additionally to the surface. Once it's leveled and you top dress it, you just kind of go over it with a nice rake. Keep it evenly mowed if you have, Augustine or some other grass growing on it. If it's under a tree, do you mulch it? Do you put some decorative stones on there?
Mm,
Just a good amount of consistent maintenance so that it doesn't get out of hand. It doesn't get
yes.
grown away. And it's very important, I think, that when you're trying to fix something, you got to understand it's going to take a little while. But if you're consistent on it, the tree or the land or the soil will help you very much with it.
Definitely.
I don't think there's really any way to speed it up. I know there's product out there that says it'll get rid of a stump real fast. I probably wouldn't do that in my lawn,
Yeah.
personally. I think like I said, Mother Nature can break it down. If you want to get in there with a shovel or a hoe or an axe and kind of chop it up some to help speed it along, that's
Mm,
good. I wouldn't quite get in there with a tiller though, because that's just going to get all wrapped up in your tiller and
right.
either break that or break you or just make it a huge mess.
Well, I really like what you said about maintenance. Kind of, it's this ongoing, very long process, and your job is just kind of like keep it level so you can play on it, keep it usable, and keep it healthy. Those are the big things you can do. So thanks, Justin, for that question. We talked a little bit about some bold colors, and we're gonna kind of go to a video now, on the scene video about just choosing beautiful bold colors for spring. So here we go.
Cool.
We're going to encourage you guys to just be bold in your spring gardening. When it comes down to getting new flowers in, just go after it. Do some adventure. You don't have to do the normal pansies and petunias. Michael brought a bunch of cool spring flowers. What'd you bring us?
Well, first of all, is a really unique geranium. It's called Vancouver Centennial. It's not a real bloomer, but it's a beautiful foliage
Gorgeous.
to put in with container plants. This is a new type of phlox that we have. It's
wow.
Intensia. Comes in about 4 or 5 different colors. It
Nice
seems
red.
to be performing well through the summer. Snow Princess Alyssum. This is a good perennial here. Very fragrant, easy to grow.
Bees love this.
We have a verbena. These are Lanai series.
Okay.
It's not a real spreader. It's more of a little bit of an upright grower, but it's great to have into your garden.
Look at that dark flower there. That's beautiful.
Chenille plant, this one right here,
Cool.
is new. Crossandra Sundance, which is one of my favorites
That's
for
so
shade.
gorgeous. So dark.
Glossy foliage. The Sundance variety has been the best in our performance.
It's really beautiful.
This is a Bounce Impatient.
Oh,
new.
an impatient.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Had this now trialed it for 2 years. It does extremely well here. I've had them go from March until October and looked as good as when we planted them.
I love chenille. I love these plants. I love the way they grow sideways and make like a carpet. And I love the red flower on there. It's really cool.
If you'll notice, it's a newer variety. It's a little pink.
Okay,
it's
so it's a pink
much
chenille.
lighter. It's a pink chenille.
Oh, cool.
Right.
Well, this one's my favorite. What's your favorite?
This one, the Bounce.
Oh, gorgeous.
Just impatiens are one of the most widely planted plants in America, and this outperforms it.
And those leaves are so pretty.
Beautiful.
Well, thanks so much for showing these plants. So cool. So
Thank
fun.
you.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, guys. And that's why Warren Southern Gardens is such a great place to go shop. And they got knowledgeable folks, great customer service. It's an awesome spot. So, Jonathan, you've done a great job. Thanks so much. Why don't you tell us the website that people need to go to kind of be able to pre-order plants and learn more about, the Harris County Master Gardeners.
Thank you. Harris County Master Gardeners. It's going to be pretty simple. It's hcmga.tamu, Texas A&M University.edu. Then from there, you can /shop/newsletter, or just kind of go around the whole website. It's got quite a bit of good information, good links to other relevant information, Aggie horticulture, AgriLife extension work, plant trial results are there if you want to know the best green bean to grow in Houston.
Nice.
We have results from a couple of years ago that we did that. Then, of course, we have our Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, and we'll be getting a Pinterest, I guess, soon. So, but those are all just keep Googling Harris County Master Gardener Association, and we'll show up.
Well, that is awesome. So everybody, if you're looking for plants to grow in this area and want to support a great cause, their plant sales are a great way to do it. So appreciate you again, Jonathan. We'll get you back on here, and great job.
Great.
So that's what we do
Thank you,
on Home Show Garden Pros. We dish out the gardening information, answer your gardening questions. So tune in this Saturday. I'll have Sherry Hara from Plants for All Seasons in, and she always dishes out great information and loves talking soil. So hopefully we can help you out with your lawn, your garden, your veggie, your tree, whatever needs you've got. Tune in. So Sports Radio 610, 7 a.m. on Saturday, and I'll see you then.